Hi, it's Rock. I said I would do a true story time from the last video, the last daily quote, quoting Patton, where he said the object of war is not to die for your country, it's to make the other bastard die for his, and then relating that to you protecting your family with a question and an answer where the question that goes around is, are you prepared to die for your family? I'm not, and I hope you're not. But the obvious answer is no, but I'm prepared to kill for them. So here's a true story in relation to all that. And spoiler alert, I didn't kill anyone, so all good. But let me set the scene first of all. I am in the middle of the Mediterranean, in the middle of nowhere on one of my boss's super yachts with my close protection team, protecting him and his family. They had threats on them all the time, death threats, kidnap threats, all sorts of things. So I'm there in the middle of nowhere. That's my setting. My home setting, we lived at the time remotely. I mean, really remotely. My nearest neighbour was a mile away, maybe 6 houses. That's including mine, in a radius of a good few miles. So big space, few people. About 15 miles to the nearest village with a shop, and about 30 miles to the nearest major town. Um, and I want you to keep this in mind for later on. The police response to my property was 45 minutes. If you live in a city, think of that. You ring the police 45 minutes later. Okay, a lot can happen in that time. A lot can happen in 1 minute. So keep that in mind for later. So that's the scene. My wife is at home. She's been on her own for about a week. I'm away, and I've got another few weeks away. Um, and we are bobbing around in the Med, touching landfall very rarely. Not much chance of getting home if something did happen. So all's good. All's good for over a week. Doing the phone calls, everything else, no problems. And then I get a phone call from my wife saying, I've had an RTA, I've had a road traffic accident. Oh, okay, fine. Explains to me that she's okay, no injuries. Yep, damage to the car, that's going to get booked in. She's swapped details with this guy, phone numbers, insurance details, and everything like that. Brilliant, all good, not too bothered as long as she's okay in the RTA and everything else. So all good. So I don't hear anything untoward. We have another phone call the next day. Everything's great. The next day after that, she says, "I'm getting threatening phone calls from some other people, not the guy who I had the RTA with, and I've had three of them." And I said, "Okay." I said, "What's going on?" So first of all, they said, "Right, you've got to give us some money." Or you've got to pay for a new car for this guy. And then the threats after that, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. So I've said, have you gone to the police? She said, no. I said, okay. No, she's too worried, too scared. She's on her own in the middle of bloody nowhere. Um, and I've got no way of getting off this bloody boat either. Um, so I say, okay, I'll ring the police. So I ring the police. They don't believe where I am. I said, look, I'm ringing you from the Med. I can't get off the boat. I can't get home. This is what's happened. They give her the details in the police. And I said, look, can you send a car up to my wife? Just check on her, get the details, find out what's going on. She's getting these threatening phone calls, and it's really worrying for her, and I can't get home. And this woman's laughing on the phone in the police station, doesn't believe me at all about where I am, not about the situation with my wife. So this car goes up to my wife. The cops go up to my house, and I'm a real fan of the police. These guys did a real fantastic job, um, and I'll explain in a bit. So they go up to my house, chat to my wife, they get the details, they check on this guy's background. Of all the guys you need to crash into, this guy he's got phone with the police, he's been inside, he's a violent county lines drug runner that's traveling up and down the country all the time running drugs. So brilliant, that's all I need. So I say to my wife, okay, let's deal with this. You're not going to speak to these people again. I will deal with it. So I said, when they ring up again, give them my number for my spare phone, my burner phone. So my burner phone is my spare phone for emergencies, and I've only ever used it once. That got binned straight away after this situation I'm talking about, and I've never had to use the second one again, which is great. So these guys ring me. So obviously they've rung my wife. She's given them my phone number, and they're ringing me. And again, money, cars, threats, and all this sort of shit going on. So I just cut them dead and I say, look, let's get it clear. There's no fucking money. I'm not buying you a fucking car. I know who you are. I know you're a drug gang. I know this scumbag who my wife crashed into is one of your fucking drug runners. So let's get it clear. No money, no car. Don't give a fuck about your threats. Not interested in your business. We don't want any part of it. Leave us the fuck alone. And let's be doubly clear here. The cost of a car that your guy needs is going to far outweigh the fucking consequences. So read between the lines. It's going to far outweigh the fucking consequences if you come up here with manpower, with money, than the cost of a car. Think about it. And I just cut the phone call and I thought, okay, let's see what happens now. Because nothing else I could do. So I'm now playing mind games. So nothing happens. Nothing happens. And I go back home. Another couple of weeks later, she hasn't had a phone call. I go back home. Nothing. It's been great. Okay, so I ring the police to go, right, can you send the two guys up again? These two guys have been fantastic, these two cops. They've been doing drive-bys during the day. They've been checking on it at night. So they've been driving up at night, dark hours, dark 100, checking on the place, making sure it's fine. All good. Brilliant. Can't fault them. Really, really thankful to those two guys. So they come up and, I take them into the house. We're sitting in the dining room and they're looking around and I've got all my shit on the wall, military stuff and all my other crap that's on the walls and everything else. And I'm going, okay. And I said, look, guys, thanks very much. Really appreciate what you did. And they didn't believe me until I said, look, I've just got back. I got back yesterday. I've been away for a few weeks, been in the med, with my boss, and I'm doing all this. And they went, all right, we didn't, nobody believed what you were saying. And I said, okay, great. No, that's fine, but I really appreciate, what you've done for my family. And I said, look, but I need you to pass a message on. And I said, look, I need you to go to this guy, this scumbag drug runner. And I said, I want you to pass a message on. Whether they did or not, I don't know. But I said, and this is a message. I said to them, tell them the response time for you coming up to my property. Tell him that. Tell him it's 45 minutes. I know it's 45 minutes. Tell them that response time is 45 minutes. That will give them lots of time to come up, do what they want to do. But I want to add to that I won't be calling you guys. What's the point? I will not be calling you. 45 minutes is too long. I wanted to tell them that I'm going to bury their fucking bodies on my land. And I'm going to torch the car or cars or vehicles. I'm going to tow them away and torch them. And I'm going to bury their fucking bodies on my land. And the cop's face just dropped. He said, you can't be saying that. I said, well, I want you to pass this fucking message on. He said, look, if these guys come up, I don't want you leaving your land. Because I don't want you preempt. You're going to preempt it anyway. He said, I don't want you jumping over your fence, leaving the gate, jumping over your gate, going in and doing whatever you're going to do to these guys. He said, if they come on your land, do whatever you want. He said, but do not leave your land. Don't go and see this drug runner. Don't do anything. We don't want to arrest you. We want to arrest these guys. But I said, okay, fine. But I want you to pass that message on. Let them know, what's in store for them. And it was quite funny, just with their faces and everything. Nothing ever happened. Never heard anything again. But this always reminds me of a guy once told me, a famous guy once told me, that sometimes you need to be 20 stones in there, not 20 stones there. Sometimes you need to be 20 stones there, 20 stones there. All good in the end. If you got any questions, yeah, it was quite worrying at the time, but yeah, it was all good at the end. But I wanted to, get that mindset over to you in relation to what the daily quote was and the questions. Drop a comment. Think about your mindset. Think about you protecting your family. I'm going to carry on in this sort of theme as we go forward. My name's Rock. This is Viper Tactical Training. Stay dangerous.